So we have this beautiful speech by the Rebbe explaining what's going to be when Mashiach comes and why in the world is that there are going to be three more cities of refuge. This is when the Mashiach comes, there's going to be three more cities of refuge. Today there's six, or up to now there's been six cities of refuge, and there's going to be three more cities of refuge in the three countries, the three areas that Mashiach is going to conquer. What is a city of refuge? Refuge from what? It says refuge from being killed. These are talking about people who deserve to be killed. They killed someone through negligence. And because they killed somebody not intentionally, but they killed them nevertheless through negligence. And these people, they have to go to a city of refuge, run to a city of refuge, and stay there for the rest of their life. Why do they have to run to the city of refuge? Because someone who kills someone else from negligence, is the relatives of that murdered person have a right to kill that accidental murderer. That's the law. If someone, let's see, is going up a ladder or something, going down a ladder, coming down a ladder, and he doesn't watch his way, doesn't watch what he's doing, and he falls down, and then he falls on top of somebody, he should have watched where he was going, and because of that, he has to immediately run to the cities of refuge. And it was to the degree that they even made big signs on the roads. The roads had to be sort of wide and clear to the cities of refuge. There were 6 of them. And also the cities that the Levites, there were 48 cities of the Levites, and those cities also were cities of refuge. There was a slight difference between them, but the official cities of refuge, though, were these cities of refuge. So that was people who murdered by accident. In the future, Mashiach is going to come. There's going to be 3 more cities. That's going to be the big accomplishment. And that, the Maimonides brings, Rambam brings that as one of the proofs that Mashiach must come. The Torah says that, prophesies that there's going to be Mashiach, because in those days there's going to be 3 more cities of refuge. The Torah says that when you widen your boundaries, then there's going to be 3 more cities of refuge. So that's what. So the Rebbe says, "What in the world? That's what we're waiting for." Not only that, there's going to be there should be 3 less cities of refuge. There shouldn't be any cities of refuge. In the future, there's going to be people that are going to make such tragic mistakes that they're going to have to they're going to kill someone and have to run away from the Avengers. There's going to be such tragic mistakes. The degree that they're going to have 3 more. The 6 that we've got aren't sufficient. You have to have 3 more, because there's going to be, that's what's going to be in the days of the Mashiach. Of course not. There's not going to be such a thing in the days of the Mashiach. There's not going to be accidental murder. There won't be any, it says there won't be any mistakes even. People won't even make mistakes. Right? There won't be any more powers of selfishness ruling over the world. People will automatically respect life and be careful about life and be careful about their own life. Okay. So the Rebbe explains, let me just. Okay, there we go. Oh, good. All right, so the Rebbe explains like this. What do we say? Nowadays, we're in the world, we're serving God. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Our purpose in the world is to serve God. What do you mean to serve God? Let's take it in a nice and more, let's say, how do you say, a politically correct language. To serve the Creator. God is sort of like a not nice word. It's a religious word. It's a really stifling sort of a word. It's like God is our competition. He's our opposition. He's only for for squares, or for people that just how do you say, fanatics or something. Here we're talking about our Creator. God creates us, and our job is to improve the creation. Us first. We have to improve first of all, improve ourselves. What do you mean improve ourselves? We have to be partners with the Creator. In other words, to do good things, say good things, aid in positivity in the creation, to sustain the creation, to increase the creation, to improve the creation. That, for instance, is why the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that science is very, very good, medicine is good, anything that comes to advance and to improve mankind is good. But then we got the problem is man himself. We can improve mankind. Here we just saw, what was it, 70 years ago? We had one of the most advanced nations scientifically in the world, the Germans, and they used all of their knowledge and wisdom and whatever that they had to just destroy. After World War II, there was a big race in America and in Russia to kidnap and to capture German scientists. It was a big major race to see who could get the most, right? And so because they both of them, the Americans attacked from one side and the Russians were from the other side. So they wanted to, why? Because the German scientists were the best in the world, right? They were the best in the world, or at least among the best in the world. They didn't have any what they call nuclear scientists, right? That's a whole question. Why they didn't develop the atomic bomb? But their scientists were the best in the world. They had wisdom, but they used that wisdom to make the best bombs and the best planes and the best tanks and the best, means of destruction. But if kidnapped and used they could be used for positive things. I don't know if they in fact were used for positive things or if they were used just to, each side knew that they could be the warriors, they could be the Nazis. I don't. Anyway, but in any case, they had tremendous wisdom, and as far as science goes and things like this, and that's a good thing. You have to have wisdom. You have to use but the problem is the people. The people. So we have to work on ourselves. You can't work on other people, right? Tell everybody else what to do, because first of all, they're not going to listen to you. And second of all, you're just wasting your time. You're supposed to be working on yourself. And usually when you're correcting others, so you think you're okay, right? That's one reason it's for so pleasurable to give advice and to tell people what to do and to correct people and to find their faults, is because you think that makes you sort of, the objective truth, and you can make all the judgments. So you have to fix yourself up. Nowadays, the main fixing up we do is with our emotions. According to Kabbalah, we've got 7 emotions. 7 emotions. So if people have character flaws, egotistical, how do you say, the problems, the people are selfish. All crime and all bad comes from selfishness. People just think about themselves, right? They're cruel to others. That was one of the big traits of the Nazis, right? They're just cruelty. They just didn't care about other people. If babies were suffering and children were suffering, it didn't make any difference to them, right? Exactly the opposite. That was like a high quality. That was like a Nietzschean quality, that you could be an Übermensch, a Superman, and that you, how do you say, the victory of the will over conscience. That was a big thing, victory of the will over conscience. That I'm God, I call the shots, and there's nothing, I'm not going to be, ruled by any of the religious the feelings that we had before, don't kill, don't steal, who says? So we have to work on ourselves. We have to work on our emotions, mainly. Namely, don't be so selfish. Don't be so selfish. Don't follow your heart all the time. Right? Whatever your urges tell you, don't follow them. That's called working on the 7 nations. Well, not by accident, when God promised Abraham that he was going to give the Jewish people 10 nations, 10 nations, and he only gave them 7. Moses, Joshua, only conquered 7 nations, the land of 7 nations. Says, in the future, we're going to conquer the land of the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmon. That's going to be, what do we say, Moab and I always forget the third one, Moab and Edom and I'll remember in a moment. Okay, anyway, it's the 2 sons of what, the daughters of Lot. What is it? Moab and why does it slip my mind all the time? Okay. Anyway, so we're going to conquer these 3 nations, and in these 3 nations, that corresponds to 3 levels of intellect. And that's what we've been talking about up to now, that the Moshiach is going to come and bring a new Torah. What does it mean, a new Torah? That there's going to be a new intellect. Oh, here. No, he just says the Keni, the Kadmoni, and all right, good. What can you do? I forgot. And so in the future, there's going to be, he just brings the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni. And that's going to be the three nations. That's going to correspond to and be a result of the new awareness that Mashiach is going to bring into the world of what God is, the new awareness of our Creator. We're going to feel something like everybody felt in the Holy Temple, but even more. Everyone will be a that's going to be the new Torah that's going to be. That corresponds to these three cities of refuge. What do you mean three cities of refuge? That the feeling of what it means to kill someone accidentally. Who's that someone? Myself. Shofech dama adam ba'adam. If we do bad things, in this case, if we even think bad things, if we even have bad, how do you say, ideas, selfish ideas, anything which is not connected to the creator of the universe, then that'll be considered to be like a sin. And we'll have to run to the cities of refuge. What's the cities of refuge? That's these places where we will be able to correct our consciousness, to be in tune with the creator, to respect the creation more, to respect the commandments more, to respect human beings more. Exactly how this is going to be, I mean, we have hints of it in Chassidut. What's talking about that how it's possible for a person to think about God all the time, and just we naturally feel ourselves all the time. But here's this consciousness will change. That's the three additional cities of refuge that there's going to be, and that explains why the law is going to be like Beit Shammai. We said the school of Shammai. Now, Shammai was always very strict. In the future, why should the law be strict? I thought Mashiach is going to come. People won't do sins. People won't even want to do sins. It'll be ridiculous to people. People won't want to do anything against God. It'd be like taking like you say, a saw and cutting off your toe. Who's going to do a thing like that to separate themselves from God? No one will. So why should the laws be more strict? Like Beit Shammai, why? So here the Rebbe explains. First of all, we have to explain what are the arguments between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, the school of Shammai and the school of Hillel. It says, generally speaking, Beit Shammai made forbidden and Hillel, they made permissible. How to use the Torah and how to refine the world. Again, the purpose of Judaism is this physical world. The purpose of Judaism is not to go to heaven. We definitely do believe there is such a thing as heaven. We do believe there's such a thing as hell. And we do believe that they're totally not important as far as we're concerned, unless in emergency cases, how do you say, an emergency, break the glass. If the only thing that'll stop a person from doing bad is that he's going to go to hell, or he might go to hell, and the only thing that will encourage a person to do good is I want to get another point or mark or something like that, brownie point, and go to heaven. So, okay, then you have to use that, right? Like a little kid in school, if you do good, you get a candy. You don't, you get hit. Nowadays, you don't hit anybody, but the teacher can hold up a stick. You're going to get hit. So if the reward and punishment is the only thing, right? You don't have a good teacher, so that's the only thing that okay, so good. But the ideal is supposed to be that why do we do good and why do we turn from bad? Because that's what God wants and that's what God doesn't want. And God is our creator. God is infinitely good. And that God creates us, that's only the outside of the picture, right? That God enlivens us, and even more that God gives us the opportunity to serve him. We can really fulfill our potential. That's the most pleasurable thing that there is to a person, that he can fulfill his potential. That's why, by the way, this whole woke thing is just so insane because it discourages family. It discourages having children. Children are one of the potentials of people. It can be taken in the wrong way. Yes, people can look at children like their possessions and things like that, which is basically what these woke people do. They look at the potential, my body, my choice, whatever. A child is just like like a wart or something like that. You know what I mean? But the idea is children, that's the ultimate revelation of potential. People, human beings can make human beings. That's incredible. That's incredible. right? We're all human beings. Human beings is an amazing gift. Even though you look at some human beings, you figure that's not such a good gift, I'll return it back to the store. But nevertheless, the fact of the matter is that human beings are gifts. Life is a gift. And that human beings can create life. It's an amazing thing. It's just so, it's just so incredible that we can give life. Why there would be a whole, movement to limit and to eliminate giving birth. I just don't, it's really quite, it's quite, astounding to me. And all those people that are, these people, the LGBTs and all this stuff, they wouldn't want that their mother should have aborted them. They don't mind life. Maybe they do mind life. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I just don't really, I guess everything is just turned around on its face. Mashiach is going to change all that. Mashiach is going to make that people will value life. They'll value human beings. They'll value their children, at least their children. They'll value themselves. Okay, anyway, let's go. It's just to me, the Rebbe says that before Mashiach comes, all of the bad, all of the destructive things are going to be revealed. They'll all come to the surface. They'll all come to the surface. And so that's what it is. I guess all of the, the water is boiling and all of the dregs come up to the surface. You can just skim them all off, I guess. They'll be revealed. Okay, there's more to it than that, but I don't want to go into it. It's pretty negative stuff, but the world is pretty negative. Okay, so now we can understand why the law is like Beit Shammai. In order to understand how the law is like Beit Shammai, let's understand, first of all, what exactly the Torah is supposed to do. The Torah is supposed to be here to fix up the world, like we said. Okay, but the Dvarim shehem bavadai bilti ritzuim, things that are certainly not good, things that are certainly forbidden. There's no argument. There's no argument. The kuli omo to everyone, birur hu ba'ofen shel dechia. You have to push these things away. Small doche, right? Things that are forbidden, they're forbidden. Tameh, asur, puzzle, things that are impure, that they're forbidden, that they're disqualified. What the Torah says that they're forbidden, they're forbidden. But the Dvarim shehem bavadei mutar, things which are certainly permissible, inyani rishus, namely things that are, let's say, what optional things, to eat, to put on clothes. Those things are permissible. You can put on clothes, you can put, it doesn't. The kuli omo to everyone says biruhu bofen shakiruv, that you should eat properly, you should dress properly, you should act properly. Think it's not a commandment that you have to, eat. It's not a commandment that you have to put on clothes. I mean, if you're going to go on the street, so it's indecent. That's the laws of the country, though. That's the laws of the country. There's not an absolute law. You have to eat. You want to fast. You want to go out naked. Maybe you'll get arrested. Right? That you talk to people. You don't have to talk to people. You want to go into. You don't have to go into business. You don't want to work. You don't have to work. Right? You don't have to work. It's a command. It's a commandment. We can get charity. Right? Not a good. But these things are optional. If you want, you put on clothes. It's a good thing. Put on clothes. Dress properly. Dress modestly. You want to talk properly. Say positive things. You want to eat kosher food. Eat in a kosher way. That's in a way of kiruv. Use them properly. That's what's called the right coming close. Those are things that are permissible. Those are things that are pure. That are things that are kosher. Only by means of using them, if you use the permissible things in the world, the optional things in the world that aren't forbidden, if you use them for the sake of God, then everything you do will be for the sake of God. All of your ways you will know Him. Then by means of that, you make a purification in the world and you reveal godliness is like cleaning, like you said, cleaning your glasses. Use these things properly. You clean them off from any sort of egotism that they could draw out from you. And you don't use that egotism to use it, that you clean the things off, and that makes the world purified. But things that there's a doubt, that you don't know if you should push them away or if you should use them. And so therefore you should use them. And if you use them, then you can elevate them to holiness. Because the bad in them, you can't see them, and you can't really realize, you don't know if you should do it or not. Ki'im b'koach u'behelim b'levad. So now that's Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. So in other words, all the arguments Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel are what you are allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do. right? Things that are in a doubt, things which you have a doubt. This food was slaughtered, and the person, when he slaughtered it, he waited 2 seconds. Is 2 seconds too long to wait? When you slaughter, you're not supposed to stop. Is that too long or is it too short? No, an argument. Some say that that's okay. Some people say no, it's no good. Do you have a doubt? You don't know what you should do. Right? Food that was cooked to be right before Shabbat. Right? It was almost finished, but it wasn't completely finished. It was 1/3 finished. Some people say it has to be 1/3. Some people say it has to be 1/4 finished when Shabbat comes in. If not, it's forbidden to eat the food. Right? Is it permissible? An argument. Some say it's forbidden. Some people. Beit Shammai in general is saying don't take any chances. You have to keep away from bad. Beit Hillel is saying go for it. You can use don't. In the time of the Moshiach, the law is going to be like Beit Shammai. Why? Why? There's going to be more doubts. Let's see. That's where Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai, that they come from what's called severity, strictness. Strict. Their thing is to be more severe, to push away and to make things that are forbidden, that is a doubt if there's any bad in them or not. Beit Hillel, on the other hand, that they come from what's called openness, kindness. They say if you have a doubt about a thing, let's be lenient. The korev ulahatir devarim. Now, don't do this at home. Doesn't mean that anything you have a doubt about, you can say it's okay. You have to learn the laws. We're talking about Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, that they were presented by God with certain choices to make the laws or not. It says that the law comes out to be almost always like Beit Hillel, to be lenient. This difference is also in their names. Shammai comes from the word of to sham archotov, to how do you say consider, to limit your ways. Sheshokal darachav, that he weighs out the WEAI way. He weighs out the way that he should go in life with the most care. He wants to get rid of anything that's bad. And when he finds that there is some bad, so he pushes away. Hillel, on the other hand, that's the land. Hillel means to shine. Ba'alu nero al roshi. It says, let them, this is a sentence from Job, is it? Let's see, fine, what is this sentence? 122. From Job, right? It's a sentence from Job. And he says, make shine. Shehu inyan shel or v'gilu. This is a light of godliness which shines in the world. So Shammai is from the of being careful, cautious, to weigh everything out. And Hillel is to, how do you say, be lenient, to be active more. Okay, so the difference between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel is also in the Torah, that by means of this, they purify the world. Beit Shammai, it says that they were very sharp. They had a very high level of learning the Torah, this inside of the Torah. And the power it is able to purify not just bad, but also concealed bad, which is not the case. Beit Hillel, they learn Torah as it is actually in the world, not the potential of the Torah, not the deep secrets of the Torah. Beit Hillel is, let's deal with the situation as it is today. The revelation, the revealed Torah. This thing is not to get rid of the evil which is concealed in the world. There's no thing to reveal and to purify the concealed bad which is in the world. It's forbidden to get rid of things, and to get things which you can refine and purify. Lochin, therefore, bisman is that nowadays, shematzav olam, that the situation of the world is that the majority of people, they cannot, and will be on the level of Beit Shammai, and deal with the hidden bad which is inside of things, the school that they could weigh out and use their power of discernment in such a high level. So the law is a bit like Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai in the place of Beit Hillel is not a law. Maybe I'll give you an example. Let's say a person that's a violinist, right? Violinists. You have people that are regular violinists, and then you have genius violinists, right? A regular violinist, he can go out and buy a violin for $100, $200, $500. That's a violin, right? You get a violin, it sounds great. maybe $1,000 a violin. This is something, as he brags about, as a violin's worth $1,000. Give it to a person who's a really expert in playing violin, right? What was his name? Yasha Heifetz, or this guy in his, what's his name in there? Yehudi Menuhin, or what was his name? The film, and he's living in Israel now. Anyways, give one of these expert, super, violinists $1,000 violin. They'll say, no, I can't play that violin. That's not it. Why not? Because he senses and he feels all of the smallest imperfections that are there. You can't hit this note. You can't get this tone. You can't play this fast. You can't. The smallest imperfections in the violin he sees. A person who's not such a big expert, he says, come on, I can't. Okay, good. I'll buy an expensive violin. How much does it cost? $1 million. What? $1 million for a violin? Here, this sounds fine. What's wrong with it? A person who's really at a very high level, he can see the smallest imperfections that there are, that the smallest things which impair perfection, he can feel. That's like Beit Shammai with the whole world. The Jews are here like a musician. They're here to make the world beautiful, to bring out the potential music and beauty which is in the world. Beit Hillel says, listen, let's do the things the way they are. Let's not be so careful. We don't have to be the perfect, ultimate perfection, right? Beit Hillel, let's just use the world the way it is. We can't expect everybody to be geniuses. Beit Shammai said, yes, I do expect everyone to be geniuses. In any case, whatever it is, I can't bear a world that has any bad in it. That's what Beit Shammai. Even concealed bad. But until up to now, when they made a vote, right? They got all the wise men all together. When they voted, those who held the opinion of Beit Hillel were always the majority. And even more, it says that there was one day that it happened to be that all the wise men got together, and the Beit Shammai was the majority. It says that day was bad for the Jewish people, like the day that was made the golden calf, because by means of this, back then, that you pushed away all the potential of purifying things in the world just because they had a little bit of concealment in it, is b'meila nosef koach bo l'olam hazeh. Right? Let's say that you take a vote among the violinists, and everyone sat and they all agreed $1 million violins are not necessary. Forget it. We don't want to Stradivari. Do what you want to with them, but not for use. Right? Don't use them. Use whatever you want. Any type of violin is okay. Right? No, any type of violin is okay. No more perfect violins, no more perfect music. No, that was a terrible day for the Jewish people. Why was it a terrible day for the Jewish people? Because the bad that was concealed couldn't be revealed, right? You couldn't really play the music like it was supposed to be. Couldn't play music. Any little imperfections in music, you can leave them there. It's no big deal. Oh, but in the days of the Mashiach, halacha, the law is going to be like Beit Shammai. What does it mean? That since that everybody's minds will change. To continue in our metaphor, everyone will be an expert in violin, let's say music, but teva seichel de chachmi Yisrael. In this case, everyone will be an expert in godliness, and the Jewish people will all become experts, and they will not be able to bear any sort of the smallest imperfection, even the deepest, most concealed imperfection. They won't be able to conceal it. They won't be able to bear it. Then that's the way the world is going to be in the days of the Mashiach. Like it says, Ein lo dayan elamasha navros. A judge can only judge what he sees. Then everything's going to be like Beit Shammai. Why? Because after there is completed the purification of all the good in the world will be revealed, all the bad will go away. Like I said, nowadays, you got all these crazy movements going on. Suddenly they'll realize that they're contradicting themselves. Listen, if one person contradicts another person, so that's good. That's good. It's good you have different opinions, different ideas, right? And you can argue. You can even have a heated argument, about it. But people are willing to listen to each other. They're willing to listen. And so therefore a person could say, well, maybe I made a mistake. I'll think about that. I'll think about that. Right? Nowadays, what do you got? You got, like, I've started looking on Facebook nowadays. I haven't done it for years. It's such a big waste of time. But now it's not such a big waste of time. Now there's a lot of these woke people that come out. And it's just so very easy to show them, or at least to how do you say, to present them with the possibility that maybe they're contradicting themselves. Okay, you can contradict me, no problem. You don't want to believe in God, you don't want to believe in that, that's okay. But don't contradict yourself, right? You're so adamant that what you're saying is true 100%, and anyone that opposes you is wrong and stupid, but you oppose yourself. You're opposing yourself. When people start to see this, that anything which is not really taking pure good, namely godliness and God that gave the Torah, into account, in the end, it's going to be self-contradictory. In the end, it's going to have to contradict itself. I can give more examples, but I don't want. Let's go here. That's the whole idea of Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai is going after the how do you say, the the obvious and gross self-contradictions and evil and self-destructive ideas and urges are gone from the world, right? Then there's going to have to be Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai is going to say, hey, 1 minute. The world is not perfect yet. You want to get rid of the bad? There happens to be not good things that are concealed that you never dreamed of. You never dreamed of these bad things. Right? And it's like the violinist. You want to see here, look at, I'll play your violin, $1,000 violin. Now I'm going to play my violin, $3 million. I'll play it. Well, you were right. I never knew that before. The whole world will have a greater perception and sensitivity to good. Therefore, everyone will be in the situation of Shamar Chotav. Everyone will want to be careful of even the most delicate and spiritual levels of bad, of egotism. The dakdeko lishkol darchav, the tachlit azirut, everyone will be totally careful. Ad the shlilis efsharos, there won't be any possibility of any sort of selfishness or negativity by means of pushing away everything that is bad and concealed. That's something like we said about the 3 cities of refuge. The definition of bad will be so high that people want to get rid of it. Now, if you want to see a little definition of this, that's the book, the Tanya. The Tanya starts off and says that any form of egotism in the most delicate way is called bad. According to the Tanya, a person can be bad, can be what they call a Rasha, and he can go to heaven. He can get the levels of heaven because he's doing Torah and he's doing the commandments and he's doing good. But everything he's doing is selfish. Once in a while, because it pops up once in a while, a bad thought, and he lets it go. That's called bad. It's not bad you get punished for. That's the idea of the Tanya, is the world, the way it's going to be in Mashiach, and that's supposed to be any second. The Inyan Zeh, this will be by means of revealing this high level of the Torah. That's the Chassidut. That's the Chassidut by all the Jewish people. Like it says, Torah Chadasha Miti Teitze. That's the new Torah that's going to come out. The reasons and the secrets of the Torah. And that they are above any connection to the world. Tami Usodas Torah. Shaliosa, because they are now connection above these secrets of the Torah now cannot be used in the world. So therefore, by means of them, there's I'm sorry, that because they are above or in connection to refining the world up to now, therefore it's impossible that there can be, but when they are revealed, any sort of imperfections whatsoever. And we can add, so that's what's going to be. Mashiach is going to come, he's going to teach the world, he's going to be a teacher. And with this teaching also, there's going to have a lot of help from God. People suddenly will realize what God is. People will realize there's a creator, like it was when they went up to the Holy Temple. But the difference is that the whole world will be like a holy temple. Feeling of godliness will be everywhere. And that's what it says, that everyone, all of them will drop all the religions. There won't be any more Christianity. There won't be any more Muslims. There won't be any more. Everyone will worship only the creator according to the 7 Noahide commandments, as they were given to Moses on Mount Sinai. And it's true, all these religions have adopted, especially those 2 religions, they've adopted certain laws of the Torah, certain principles of the Torah. But they don't do it because it says it in the Torah. And therefore, it's up for grabs. It's up for changes. They can change at any moment. Right nowadays, they got over there with the Pope. He says you can do abortions and homosexuality is not so bad, and everything is upside down, right? Because that's what I mean, self-contradiction. They're contradicting themselves. Their whole religions are based on the Torah, and they contradict the Torah. They go against the Torah, so they're contradicting themselves. That's what's called the gross bad will be revealed. But then we'll have to deal with ourselves, right? We'll deal with ourselves. And everyone will have to deal with the smallest inclinations to egotism that there are, will have to refine and connect to the creator of the universe with the Torah. And the way we're going to do that is by the new intellect and new awareness that Mashiach is going to bring. We can also add on also to the connection of the holiday of Shavuot. That's the holiday of the giving of the Torah. That in it is the whole Torah will be given, including the new Torah from me. We find examples in the law like Beit Shammai. This is something like the new Torah that is going to be in the days of the Mashiach. Next, the Friday is going to be, by you outside of Israel, is Friday and Saturday, Friday and Shabbos. It's going to be the holiday of Shavuot. In the end of the laws of the holiday of Shavuot, the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, he wrote a law book, right? The same Rebbe that wrote the Tanya. It says, "B'motzi Chag Shavuot." When the holiday of Shavuot finishes, it's forbidden to fast. And this is not just a custom. It's forbidden to fast, just like it's forbidden to fast on a holiday. Lifi, because Shehaya, it was Yom Tavuach, it was the day of bringing sacrifices when the Beis Hamikdash was there. Why? A person that didn't bring sacrifices, he had 7 days to bring his sacrifices to the temple. Right, the very sacrifices of the temple. Certain sacrifices for the holidays. If you didn't bring the holiday sacrifices, you had 7 days to make up. So the day afterwards, it says, was a day of sacrificing. Hainu, shebo b'yom, makrivim olos ria, shelo yochlim lahakriv b'yom tov. They sacrificed the sacrifices, certain sacrifices that you weren't able to be brought on Yom Tov because she'ein b'hem shum tzorech ochel nefesh. They wouldn't sacrifice these certain sacrifices, the Ola, because the Ola was burnt up totally. And they had to bring sacrifices, the Shlomim offering, which some of them, part of those offerings were eaten by the owners. And on Shavuot, there was a commandment that you had to eat these sacrifices. So they didn't, okay. Even though that this is like Beit Shammai, but according to Beit Hillel, it's permissible to sacrifice them even on Yom Tov itself, even though you don't need to eat them. Nevertheless, since this is that Beit Shammai, they did what they okay, since the is also Beit Shammai, since that this is done by Beit Shammai, Kedivreim v'harbem Yisrael nagu ke motam, like they did to sacrifice after Yom Tov, as therefore this is made shehu motzi Yom Tov is like Yom Tov itself. La'asor, to forbid bo behesped of a tainis. If so, af ata, even now after the holy temple is destroyed, lo hutar hesped betainis bo biyom. Therefore, it is forbidden to fast on that day. It's forbidden to fast. Okay, so again, Beit Hillel says that it's okay to make these sacrifices on the day, and therefore, after the holiday, it's okay to fast because it's not officially a day of sacrifice. Beit Hillel says it's okay to fast after the holiday of Shavuot is forbidden. Beit Shammai says it's forbidden to fast. No, the law is usually like Beit Hillel, isn't it? It says, well, back then the law was like Beit Hillel. It was permissible. It was permissible to fast after the holiday. It was permissible. It wasn't a holiday of. It wasn't a time for making sacrifices. The sacrifices could have been made on the holiday. That's what Beit Hillel says. So therefore, it was a day you could make fasts, and Beit Shammai said no, it's forbidden. The law is like Beit Shammai nowadays. But Yesh Lomer, we can explain that what Ita B'Gemora, it says in the Gemara, Ma'ale Yom Ha'atzeres Sakanta Lahaki's Dam. Why? Because the nafik, but after the holiday of Shavuot, it's forbidden to let blood. It used to be a thing where bloodletting was very common. Why? The nafik be Zika Ushmei Tavuach. It says then there is some sort of a spirit, and it's called Tavuach. The Elo Kabul Yisrael, that if the Jewish people would not have received the Torah, would have killed them the tavach lahu lebasreu uledameo. It would have this spirit would have killed the Jews for their flesh and their blood. There's asked a question in the what's called the Chidushei Agados of the Marsha. Marsha is one of the commentaries of the Talmud, a tremendously holy man, Shlomo Aderet. Shekatuv the Lechior at first glance, lo levekrot tovoach ela toveach. This spirit that says, if the Jews wouldn't have received the Torah, God said He was going to let the spirit go to kill them. The spirit is called murder. Murder. So that should toveach. That means murder. Tavoach. That means a day of slaughter. Tavoach. Something that is slaughtered. Tavoach. Shema tavoach. That means to slaughter. Shabbat tavoach. That others are slaughtered. Right? So tavoach. Litvoach came to slaughter others. Right? Others. Oh, Miteretz, and it says, how Zika, this spirit, which is this is the devil, this is the Yetzer Hora, this is this how do you say the spirit of selfishness, who Ruach Malach HaMavet, the angel of death, Malach HaMavet, the angel of death that came to kill the Jewish people if they did not receive the Torah. But since they did receive the Torah, and that they held themselves back. So exactly the opposite. Zavchu Yisrael at Yetzer Hora, they destroyed the evil impulse. Oh, the Torah. So we can say that that's what it means, that the Yom Tavuach, that is the day that it is slaughtered. It's not a slaughterer. It's a day that it is slaughtered. The day after holiday of Shavuos means that we slaughtered the evil impulse. In other words, Mali Yom Atzeret, the day after, I'm sorry, the day before Erev holiday of Shavuot, before they received the Torah, it says the spirit came out. It was ready, that it came to kill the Jewish people if they did not receive the Torah. But after the holiday of Shavuot, then this spirit itself was killed. Yom Tavuach, it's the holiday then when it was killed, because the Jewish people, they killed their evil impulse. Okay. The reason that this happened, therefore, the reason that this thing, Beit Hillel did like there were, it says Beit Hillel, it says did, Kedivrahim. Beit Hillel did like Beit Shammai. I'm sorry, I misunderstood something. Beit Hillel did like Beit Shammai, that they made it forbidden to fast. Harbe Yisrael and many people did like them. And they sacrificed after Yom Tov, right? Why did Beit Shammai say it's forbidden to fast? Because they said that you can make your sacrifices after the holiday, so it's a day of sacrificing. A day of sacrificing is forbidden to fast. So Yesh Lomo, we can say that on the holiday itself, which that's the day when the Torah was given, which that includes the new Torah, that has within it the secrets of the Torah, which Torah Shalomaila, there. And this is relevant to refining the bad. So therefore, you don't have to destroy the Yetzer Hora. Why? You don't have to, because that's the day the Torah was given. It says there's a Tosfot that says that the holiday of Shavuot is one day, and on that day there is no Yetzer Hora. It says there's no evil impulse on that day. Just like Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur is the day of atonement, is the day that God forgives all sins. That's what Shavuot is also. God gave the Torah. The Torah, what was Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur was the day that God gave the second tablets. But the same thing was on Shavuot, God gave the Torah. The Torah is the antidote to all evil, to all selfishness. That's like Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai says that because they're so high in learning the Torah and they're so sharp, so therefore they say that they can negate even the hidden bad which is in the world. Therefore, after the holiday of Shavuot, the law is like Beit Shammai, namely what? That even the inner evil was destroyed. Therefore, it's like a holiday. Therefore, it's forbidden to fast. Therefore, it's forbidden to fast. Okay, so what have we learned up to now? We've learned up to now that because God is going to reveal a new level of perfection and completion and good in the world, then all of a sudden it's going to be like a brighter light that's in the world. And therefore, I gave you the example before, and it's example. Sometimes before Shabbat, things sort of get dark in the house a little bit. The lights are going out. Erev Shabbat, it's getting darker and darker, or before you turn on the lights in the house, things get darker. So you put on my Shabbos garment I put on, and I go out in the street, and everything looks okay. We go out in the street, and in the street it's light. It's still a lot lighter than it is in the house. And suddenly you notice, well, there's all these stains. Wait, I put on the wrong garment. I put on the wrong one. The same thing when there's no light, so the stains don't show up. In the time of the Mashiach is going to increase our intellect, so that we're going to use our minds to see good. It's like turning on more lights. All of a sudden, even the little tiny stains that we ignored before in our personality will be revealed. That's what happened on Mount Sinai. When God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai, he revealed even the concealed bad in the world and did away with it. Therefore, it says that even after the holiday of Shavuot, this revelation still remains. It's the revelation of Beit Shammai, a higher level of awareness of God, that you can't stand anything that's imperfect, and it'll do away with everything imperfect, even the smallest imperfections. In addition to this novelty in the days of the Mashiach, the law like Beit Shammai, maybe I can give you another example. It's a tragic example, but I'll give it to you anyway. We've talked about this a lot of times, there was a person called Yerovam ben Nevat. We learned about him in Pirkei Avot. He was a tremendous genius, a tremendous Talmudic scholar. We could say that he was a very holy person, a very, an amazing leader, and an example for all of the Jewish people. And he was chosen by a prophet to divide the country of Israel. After King Solomon died, his son wasn't a good leader, wasn't an accepted leader. So he was chosen by a prophet, Achia Shiloni, that he should be the king of the 10 tribes. And such was his level of perfection and learning and devotion and love of God and everything. And he was chosen to be a leader. So he was like a perfect person. But he didn't know that there was a little bit of bad hidden in his personality, a little bit of ego. And that little tiny imperfection, that expanded and just conquered his whole personality. And he ended up making 2 golden calves and convincing all the Jewish people in the 10 tribes to worship them, and just things that are just unheard of, right? He did because he had a little tiny imperfection, a little bit of egotism in himself. And that little bit of egotism, he couldn't bear to refine, couldn't purify it. In the time of Beit Shammai, there won't be such a thing. And according to Beit Shammai, and in the time of Mashiach, there won't be such a thing. So that explains also why it is that the Mashiach is going to permit the slaughtering. Let's see if we can do this. Then now we can understand. That's the whole idea of why the law is going to be like Beit Shammai. 1 second. Yes, the Beit Shammai, things will be more severe. Now we can understand why God will permit the slaughtering of this ox with the fins of the fish. By proceeding, first of all, in addition to the fact of the Midrash that this shechita, the Midrash asks, this shechita is proper? Don't we learn that you cannot slaughter with a saw because it goes up and down? This is also a question to what it says in the Mishnah. What does it say in the Mishnah? That you can use any implement you want to slaughter. Hakol shoftin, anyone can slaughter, and everyone can slaughter, right? It says, first of all, it says over there, you can use any implement, but you can't use a saw. And in the beginning, it says that everyone can slaughter, that this is a shechita that people have to slaughter, Jews have to slaughter. If a non-Jew slaughters an animal, then he can think that he's a Jew, right? The person can think he's a Jew. He came to Israel, he made the aliyah, they told him that if your father is Jewish, you're Jewish. That's the law in Israel. And he accepted it, and he learned Torah, and he became a big shochan, and he was very good at it. He became a ritual slaughterer. And suddenly afterwards, he slaughtered 1,000 cows, and someone said, hey, 1 second, your mother was not Jewish. Yeah, right, my father was Jewish. I'm Jewish. Oh, you're not a Jew. All of the things that he slaughtered are forbidden for a Jew to eat. Non-Jews can eat them, but Jews can't eat them. It's forbidden. A slaughtering has to be done by a Jewish man. A woman can slaughter, yes, let's say a woman can slaughter, but the man is supposed to be a man and it's supposed to be Jewish. Definitely, according to all opinions, not a fish. A fish can't slaughter. Even more, it says that if it has to be with intention. If your knife fell from your hand and it slaughtered the animal properly, it's no good. Why? Because it says you have to slaughter. What you slaughter intentionally, you eat. Yesh Lomar, we can say the explanation. So how can it be good with a fish? That this slaughtering of the ox with the fins of a fish in the future will be not by means of the fish. It'll be by means of God. God is going to take this fish and he's going to slaughter the ox. Namely, that the fins of this fish, they will be the knife, but God is going to use this fish to slaughter the ox. Okay, 1 second. Good. So God slaughtered it. Okay, let's say that that's good. That's like a place of man. Good. But still the thing is, it's like a saw. You can't slaughter with a saw. Even God can't slaughter with a saw. It's a law in the Torah. God can't go against the Torah. It says, since this whole idea that the Torah is going to be new, it means that this shechita, it wasn't never mentioned in the laws of slaughtering, like we said before. So therefore, also this slaughtering, it's what also this principle that what you kill, what a Jew, male Jew, slaughters is good. So this law won't apply. Why? Because here God is doing the slaughter. So this is a law which was not in any law books. Law books, there's no such law as if God slaughters things. This is going to be a new situation that never existed before. Why is there going to be this thing? Why there will be a fish? What's the big deal about this fish? Why are we talking about? It says that the shchita means ein shachar ela mashach. So when you slaughter, you have to pull the knife. But it also mashach means to elevate. That by means of this, there'll be a purification and elevation of all living animals. That they will be, how do you say, proper and fit for people to eat. That they could be their own flesh. And with this power, you'll be able to serve God by means of doing the Torah and the commandments. So it comes out that the whole idea of this shchita is stressed, and the whole idea of the whole entire world will be elevated to holiness. It's talking about the whole animal power of this world. That's what this big ox is. The ox is not just a big ox. I mean, how big an ox could you have to have in order to provide food for all the Jews? How many Jews are there? There's 20 million Jews. Let's say only the Jews eat, right? 20 million Jews. How big of an ox do you have to have in order to supply a steak for 20 million people? That's ridiculous. It can't be such a thing. So here he's talking about, no, it's not going to just be a big, huge ox. Where are you going to put this ox? This is not going to be just a big, huge ox in a normal sense. There'll be such a thing. I don't know how it's going to be. But it's talking about all the animal power in the world will be elevated by God himself. Why a fish? Because it says, what is a fish? A fish is part of the water. A fish is something which is hidden. God will take out all this hidden wisdom and hidden, how do you say, life in the Torah, and he'll reveal it. It'll be the power which will elevate the whole entire world. Why does it have to be serrated? Let's see. We have only time for another one. According to this, now we'll understand the difference between the slaughtering of a person and God. When man slaughters, since that is purification is the power of man, so there's many, many limitations you have to have. There's laws. Without them, it's not good. But when God slaughters it, since this can be by God, like Moshiach is going to elevate all of a sudden everything. What Moshiach is not going to do anything. God is going to do the whole business. Lo shayach b'zeh hagbalas, there's no limitations whatsoever. I read in another place, why is it going to be with a fin that's serrated like this? Because the elevation that God is going to make in the world, it can't be at one time. It's going to be gradually, little by little. Maybe every minute, little by little. That's why it's going to be serrated, right? That's going to be kosher. Okay, so finally, that's what we've learned over here maybe we'll see. We'll finish this tomorrow because we haven't got enough time. Finish it on Yom Rishon, and then we'll do something new. So what do we learn? The days of Mashiach, there's going to be increased consciousness, awareness of how precious this physical world is in God's eyes. And we're going to look at the world from God's eyes. We're going to have more intellect, more awareness of how good the creation is. And therefore, even the smallest imperfection in ourselves, we won't be able to bear. And that's the idea of the 3 additional cities of refuge that we're going to go in order to purify ourselves. And any imperfection in the world we won't be able to bear. And that's the whole idea that the law is going to be like Beit Shammai. And this whole thing is going to be because God is going to slaughter, namely elevate all of the animal power in this world by means of the secrets of the Torah, which are represented by the big fish. But there's going to be a big fish and there's going to be a big animal. How it's going to be, we will see. Hopefully, even this Shabbat, even today before Shabbat comes in. Now let us
Amen.
The Yom Yom for today and tomorrow, and I'll tell a short story.
Thank you.
Oh, Paul, you were waiting. I'm sorry. Wow.
Well,
I don't know how to get around this thing. We tried to okay, one second. Let me just turn off to this.